Okay, so for example number 2, we see we got some paintings in the middle, and we got our previous button that goes to the previous painting, and we got our next button that goes to the next painting. Okay, that's it. We got 6 paintings, and we can move forward and backward between the paintings. Okay, let's do this. It should take about 10 minutes, so let's get started. Okay, so let's start. We're going to do from Google. We're going to grab some Rembrandt paintings. Okay, there's a second painting. And let's grab a third painting and a fourth painting and number 5 and maybe that old man, number 6. Okay, great. Okay, now we're going to open Sublime and we're going to set up our 3 files. We got an index HTML file, then we got our style for CSS, and then we're going to have our app.js file. Okay, our 3 files are created for example 2. Now back in the HTML, we're going to start with the basic HTML. The title will be Rembrandt's Paintings. Excellent. Okay, now the next thing is we're going to have 4 important things in the head tag. We're going to have 2 scripts and 2 links. Okay, so the first 2 scripts are going to be JavaScript, and the next 2 links are going to be CSS. Okay, so to start, we're going to have our Angular. That's AngularJS, which is thousands of lines of code to enhance our JavaScript. Okay, and then coming down, we're going to have our Bootstrap, which is thousands of lines of code, but to enhance our CSS. And now we're going to need this is the actual JavaScript file, app.js, and then we're going to have it's called the CSS file. There we go. Clean it up a bit. Okay, so we're going to toss in the JavaScript file, app.js, toss in the style.css sheets, link that in. There's our Bootstrap code, and there's our JavaScript Angular code. Okay, now over in the app.js, we're going to start with our variable app equals, we'll have the Angular module. The name of our app is Rembrandt app, and we got our app.controller, and the controller is going to be called the painting controller. The names don't matter, we just got to pick something. Okay, and we're going to have a function scope with round and curly brackets. Okay, and then now we're going to test it. So scope.testing, just to see if Angular is working. So if you see this line, then AngularJS is working. Okay, so we'll go back to our index file, and now, very important, we have to say the name of our app at the top, ng app is, and whatever we called it, Rembrandt app. So copy that chunk there and paste it, ng app is the Rembrandt app. And then in the body, we have the ng controller is, and we're going to go back to and we're going to copy in the painting controller. Excellent. Okay, paste that in over there. And we are going to add our curly brackets, and we're going to put in the word testing. And there you go. Now we're running it on the browser, and we see, if you see this line, AngularJS is working. Okay, to continue with HTML. So for this example, we're going to have a table, we're going to have 1 row, and we're going to have 3 columns. That's it. Not too much. Okay. Now, the first column is going to have a button, and the last column is going to have a button. And in the middle, we'll have an image. That's it. Okay. Now this first button, we're going to give it, using Bootstrap, we're going to give it the button, and a button class, and then a button danger class. That just makes a red button. And then on the last one, we'll have a button and button success. That's just a green button. There we go. Okay. So we got our buttons, and the first button's going to say previous. The red button's the previous button, green button's the next. And we're going to make that image a little bit bigger by adding the class big. And like we always do, we're going to say example number 2 as a heading, and we'll say with Angular Mikey. There you go. Excellent. Okay, and there we'll go. Refresh the page. Excellent. Okay, now we're in this style.css, and not so much to do here. We need a button. Just make the buttons bigger, width 100, height 100, just so we have bigger buttons that'll surround the painting, and then the image, the painting, will be given the big class, .big, and the width we'll do 400 and 400, and give it a border radius so it's a circle instead of a square of 200. Oh, too big. Okay, we've got to change it down to 200 by 200. And there we go. Okay, oop, nice, looks good. That's done. That's all the style we'll need. Okay, now let's get started with our Angular hooked up. So in app.js, we're going to do a scope.paintings, and that's going to be an array. So square brackets for an array. And each image is going to be 1 PNG, 2 PNG, 3.png, etc. And they're all going to be found in the paintings folder. So paintings/1.png, copy it down. And remember commas to separate our different items. There we go, 1 to 6. That's all the paintings, 6 paintings lined up. And we're going to add a variable at the top. Scope.painting count equals 1. But really it should be 0 because an array starts with number 0. Okay, now back in the HTML. The source for the picture is now going to be called, don't forget your curly brackets, okay, curly braces, and it's going to be called painting, right, like it says in scope.painting, so we copy the word paintings. Wherever you see scope, we're going to put curly brackets. There we go, so paintings. And then we're going to add a square bracket to get the item in the array. And that's going to be the variable painting count. Okay, let's now add, just to clean it up a bit, let's add a click thing on our button. So when you click on the button, it does the previous function, which we'll explain later. And then we're going to add on the next button, the green button, we're going to add the ngClick of the next function. Next with 2 brackets, with the round brackets. Okay, clean it up a bit to make it look nice for columns 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now, one thing we're forgetting is, it has to be ngClick. So that's when you click on it, it will give us something in Angular. So scope.previous is going to be a function, and scope.next is going to be a function. Now, the previous function, all it's going to do is take the scope.painting count and it's just going to add 1 to scope.painting count. So scope.painting count equals scope.painting count plus 1. And scope.next will be the same kind of idea. Scope.painting count equals, and we're just going to, instead of adding 1, my mistake, scope.next, this should be plus 1, because you're adding 1, moving next in the array, and minus 1 for the previous. Okay, now it's working. So that's just painting 0. If we put painting 0 in, it works. And, okay, so that's painting 0. But if we want to move around the array, we'll do painting count in the square bracket. So now when you click next, it moves to the next painting, 1 to 6. And then that's the green button, and the red previous button moves back down to number 1. There we go. Okay, so we have 6 pictures and we can go back and forth. All right, thank you for checking out example number 2.